The newsroom was silent. Not the comfortable silence of a Sunday evening, but the kind that follows violence. The kind that makes you hold your breath. The last journalist who dared to expose the truth disappeared without a trace, leaving only the burning files behind. No body, no note, just smoke, and questions no one wanted to answer. And one woman who refused to let it go. Claire Rivers didn't wait for alarms. She hadn't in years, not since the night her father died, and she learned that some truths don't wait for convenient moments. Her eyes snapped open at 5:47 a.m., 3 minutes before the alarm was set to ring. No grogginess, immediate alertness. She was already thinking. She sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open, 3 newspapers spread out, cold coffee in a chipped mug. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with mechanical precision. The apartment walls displayed her accomplishments. Framed articles about exposed corruption rings, resigned mayors, vindicated whistleblowers. But one photo gathered more dust than the others. Young Claire with her father in his police uniform, both smiling. If you're already hooked by this story of corruption and justice, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started. And trust me, this gets darker. Claire was 42, seasoned, respected. The kind of journalist who could smell corruption through a press release. But respect doesn't fill the holes grief leaves behind. Every investigation was a distraction. Every byline, a gravestone, marking another truth she'd buried instead of the one that mattered. She dressed in front of the mirror, dark blazer, practical shoes, hair pulled back tight. She looked at herself for just a moment too long. Something flickered in her expression. Doubt? Exhaustion? She killed it quickly. She didn't know it yet. But today, the truth she'd been running from was about to catch up. And it would cost her everything. The Herald had been the city's paper of record for 73 years. 4 Pulitzers, 6 investigative units, 1 mission: speak truth to power. The newsroom was alive, controlled chaos. Phones ringing, keyboards clattering, low hum of urgent conversations. The energy was electric but tense, like everyone was waiting for something to break. Claire walked through the newsroom. People glanced up, nodded respectfully. She didn't smile, just nodded back. Professional, distant. Her desk was organized chaos, stacks of folders labeled in color-coded tabs. 3 monitors, a stress ball shaped like a microphone that had never been squeezed. She sat, logged into her computer. An email notification popped up. Subject line: urgent, missing files, sender, redacted. She clicked. The email was blank except for an attachment. Her eyes narrowed as she opened it. The attachment contained 3 things: a list of names, a location, and a date. On the screen, fragments reflected in her glasses. Dawson Media. Cover-up. Officer Rivers. Deceased. Her father's name was on that list. Claire's hand froze on the mouse. Her breathing quickened just slightly. She glanced around the newsroom. No one was watching, but she felt watched anyway. In the glass-walled conference room, Ava Miller sat with reading glasses perched on her nose, reviewing a printout. She was elegant but worn like a soldier who'd fought too many wars. Early 60s, with the kind of weariness that comes from seeing too much. Claire entered, closing the door behind her. The soundproofing muted the newsroom chaos instantly. The silence was heavier than it should be. "You're early," Ava said, her voice warm but with something underneath it. Caution. "I got an email this morning." Claire slid a printed copy of the attachment across the table. Ava picked it up, eyes scanning quickly. Her expression didn't change, but her fingers tightened on the paper's edge. Where did you get this? Anonymous tip. Encrypted sender. Claire. My father's name is on there, Ava. Ava removed her glasses slowly, set them down. She looked older suddenly, tired. I know. Claire's face hardened. You know? I've known about this list for 6 months. I've been trying to verify it. Quietly. 6 months? And you didn't think to. I didn't tell you because I was trying to protect you. Ava cut her off, firm but not unkind. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection when they're digging into Dawson Media. The name landed heavy. Samuel Dawson. Billionaire. Media mogul. The man who owned half the news outlets in the country and controlled the rest through fear. Ava leaned forward, voice dropping. Claire, listen to me. This isn't just another corruption story. Dawson has lawyers, fixers, and people who make problems disappear permanently. My father was one of those problems, wasn't he? What? Ava didn't answer. She didn't have to. The silence was confirmation enough. After a long moment, Ava spoke quietly. If you go after this, you need to be prepared to lose everything. Your career, your safety, maybe your life. Claire stood, grabbed the document. I already lost everything that mattered. She walked to the door, paused with her hand on the handle, not looking back. He deserves the truth. Even if I'm the only one left who cares. She exited. Ava sat alone, staring at the closed door. She picked up her phone, hesitated, then put it down. She wanted to stop Claire. She should have stopped her. But some stories choose you. Text message appeared on Ava's phone screen from an unknown number. She's asking questions. Do we move? At an upscale cafe during lunch rush, Claire sat at a corner table, coffee untouched, watching the door. Nathan Carter was supposed to arrive at noon. The clock on the wall read 12:17 p.m. He was late. He was always late. But today, it felt deliberate. Nathan entered mid-40s. Expensive suit that didn't quite fit his frame anymore. Like he was wearing someone else's life. He spotted Claire, forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Sorry. Traffic, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. His voice was smooth, practiced. Too smooth. You don't drive to work anymore. You take the train. His smile faltered. Train was delayed. Nathan. She stared at him, not angry, just reading him. Like she used to when they were married and he'd come home with excuses. He sighed, dropping the pretense slightly. What do you want, Claire? I need access to your old files, from when you covered City Hall. His defensive reaction was immediate. Why? Why? I'm working on something. What kind of something? She leaned forward, voice low. The kind you used to care about. Before you sold out to write puff pieces for corporate overlords. Nathan flinched. Direct hit. That's not fair. Neither was you leaving in the middle of my father's funeral. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Nathan looked away. I couldn't watch you destroy yourself over him. Again, he said quietly. I'm not destroying myself. I'm finishing what he started. Nathan looked up sharply. What are you talking about? Claire pulled out a folded document from her bag, slid it across the table. Nathan picked it up, read. His face went pale. Where did you get this? His voice was barely audible. Does it matter? He crumpled the paper slightly in his fist. "Claire, you need to drop this. Right now." "Why?" "Why?" "Because..." He stopped, caught himself, looked around the cafe like he was worried someone was listening. He lowered his voice. "Because some stories aren't worth dying for. He was my father, Nathan. And you think getting yourself killed will bring him back?" Claire stood, grabbed her bag. "I think you know more than you're telling me. And I think you're scared." Nathan grabbed her wrist, not hard, but desperate. "Claire, please, just trust me on this. Walk away." He looked down at his hand on her wrist, then up at his face. There was fear there, real fear. She pulled her hand free. "I trusted you once. Look where that got me." As she walked away, Nathan sat frozen, the crumpled document still in his hand. 6 months ago, he had made a choice. In a dark parking garage, shaking hands with a man in an expensive suit, money exchanging hands, a manila envelope, and that choice was about to bury them both. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number. It rang. Someone answered, but the voice on the other end was inaudible. Nathan's face said everything. "We have a problem. Claire's asking about the list." The line went dead. Drop a comment below if you think Claire should continue investigating, or walk away, and don't forget to like this video if the tension is already getting to you. Back at the newsroom, late afternoon. The energy had shifted. People were packing up, winding down. Claire was alone at her desk, staring at her screen. The list had 17 names. Journalists, whistleblowers, cops who asked too many questions. She cross-referenced names with old newspaper archives. Click, click, click. Each name pulled up an article. 12 were dead. 3 were missing. 2 had recanted their stories and disappeared from public life. And 1 was sitting 3 desks away from her. Claire's head snapped up. She looked across the newsroom to an empty desk. The nameplate read, Marcus Reed, Investigative. Marcus Reed, 28, hungry, reckless. The kind of reporter who'd chase a story into hell if it meant a byline. He'd been working late the past 2 weeks, obsessively, barely sleeping. Claire stood, walked over to Marcus's desk. It was messier than hers, coffee-stained notepads, sticky notes everywhere, a half-eaten sandwich. But something was off. She opened Marcus's desk drawer. Locked. She glanced around. No one was watching. She pulled a paperclip from her pocket, bent it, picked the lock. It clicked open. Her father had taught her lock-picking, one of the few useful things before he died. Inside the drawer files, lots of them, all labeled Dawson Media, Confidential. Claire's hands trembled as she pulled them out. She flipped through the files. Documents, emails, photos. Her father's name appeared again, and again, and again. Her father hadn't just been investigating Dawson Media. He'd been part of it, an informant, feeding information to journalists, trying to expose corruption. There was a photo, her father shaking hands with a young Samuel Dawson, both smiling. The photo was dated 20 years ago. Samuel Dawson had known him personally, but the worst part was the file that made her blood run cold. An autopsy report, her father's autopsy report. Official cause of death, car accident. But someone had scrawled in red ink across the top. Staged. Claire's breath quickened. Her vision blurred slightly. This wasn't just a story anymore. This was personal. The paper slipped from her fingers, fluttering to the floor. Her father didn't die in an accident. He was murdered. Sudden sound footsteps. Claire spun around. It was Ava, standing in the doorway of the newsroom, face ashen. Claire, we need to talk. Now. Her voice was breaking. Where's Marcus? Ava didn't answer. She didn't have to. The look on her face said it all. He didn't show up for work today. His apartment. There was a fire last night. Claire's face drained of color. Is he? Ava shook her head, tears in her eyes. They're still searching the wreckage. Claire looked down at the files in her hands, then back at Ava. He found something. That's why We don't know that. We don't know anything yet. Yes, we do. Claire held up the files. He found the same thing I just did, and now he's gone. Ava stared at the files, horror dawning on her face. Oh, God. Claire, you need to get out of here. Right now. I'm not running. This isn't about running. This is about surviving. A sudden sound, a phone ringing. Both women froze. It was coming from Marcus's desk. The caller ID read, unknown. They stared at it. Ring, ring, ring. Claire had two choices. Answer the phone or walk away. Claire reached for the phone. Ava grabbed her wrist. Don't. Claire shook her off, picked up the phone, put it on speaker. Hello? Silence on the other end, then breathing, slow, deliberate, a voice, distorted and mechanical. You should have stayed out of this, miss. Rivers. Click. Line went dead. Claire and Ava stared at each other, frozen. The story had just become a war. That same night, Claire's apartment. Every light was on. She was pacing, phone pressed to her ear. I need everything you have on Marcus Reed's apartment fire. Yes, I know it's an active investigation. I don't care. She stopped. Someone was knocking on her door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Claire hadn't told anyone where she lived. Not even Ava. She ended the call, moved to the door slowly, looked through the peephole. No one was there. Another knock, this time from the window. 3rd floor. No fire escape. Claire grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter, heart pounding. She approached the window, pulled back the curtain. Nothing. Just the city lights below. Empty street. Then, her phone buzzed. Text message. From an unknown number. 1 image attached. She opened the message. Her face went white. The photo was of her, taken from across the street, from exactly where she'd just looked. It showed Claire standing in her window, curtain pulled back, looking out. Timestamp, 11:43 p.m. 2 minutes ago, another text appeared. Stop asking questions. Claire dropped the phone, backed away from the window, grabbed her laptop, the files from Marcus's desk, threw them in a bag. She couldn't stay here. Not tonight. She grabbed her coat, opened the door and stopped cold. Taped to the outside of her door, a newspaper clipping, yellowed, old. The headline read, "Local officer dies in tragic accident." The photo was of her father. Someone had circled his face in red marker, written across it in the same red ink, "You're next." Claire ripped the clipping down, crumpled it in her fist. Fear flickered across her face, then hardened into something else. Rage. They wanted her scared. They wanted her to run. But fear is a funny thing. Sometimes it just makes you angrier. Claire stepped into the hallway, looked left and right. Empty. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. She walked down the hallway, bag over her shoulder, jaw set. She wasn't running. Not anymore. Claire Rivers made a decision that night as she drove through the city, rain starting to fall, windshield wipers beating rhythmically. She was going to find out who killed her father, who killed Marcus, and she was going to burn their world to the ground. But first, she needed to disappear. She pulled up to a motel, cheap, neon sign flickering. Vacancy. She checked in with cash, no credit card. Room 14. Inside the motel room, dingy, wallpaper peeling. Claire locked the door, chained it, pushed a chair against it. She dumped the files onto the bed, started spreading them out. Photos, names, dates. A web of connections slowly taking shape. Buried in these documents was the answer, the proof. And it was worse than she'd ever imagined. Claire's eyes landed on one document. She picked it up slowly, read. Her expression shifted confusion, then horror, then fury. "You bastards," she whispered, shaking with barely controlled rage. "You absolute bastards. We're only halfway through this nightmare. Subscribe now, because what Claire discovers next will change everything. And if you're feeling the intensity, smash that like button." Morning. The motel room looked like a detective's war room. Papers taped to walls, red string connecting photos, empty coffee cups everywhere. Claire hadn't slept. The document Claire found was an internal memo, dated 3 weeks before her father died. Fragments visible. Asset compromised. Leak identified. Recommend immediate action. Her father hadn't just been feeding information to journalists. He'd been Dawson Media's inside man in the police department. And when he'd tried to go public with what he knew, they'd silenced him. Claire stared at her father's photo on the wall. Betrayal and confusion warred on her face. She traced her fingers over his image, a connection across time and death. "You were right, Dad. About all of it," she whispered. Her phone rang. She picked up immediately. "Yeah?" Ava's voice was hushed. "Where are you?" "The police came by the office looking for Marcus's files. I told them you were out sick. Did they believe you? Does it matter?" "Claire, they're going to come after you next. Let them. This isn't a game. I know it's not a game. Marcus is dead. My father was murdered. I'm not stopping until everyone knows who did this." After a pause, Ava sighed. "What do you need?" Claire's face softened slightly. "Gratitude. I need access to the archives. Pre-digital, anything from 20 years ago involving Dawson Media and City Hall. That's going to take time. I don't have time." "Then you better work fast." The line went dead. Claire stood, grabbed her coat. Determination etched into every line of her body. The paper kept its archives in a basement 3 blocks from the main office. Temperature controlled. Barely used. Perfect for hiding things you don't want found. She entered the basement archives. Rows and rows of filing cabinets. Dust motes floating in shafts of light from small windows near the ceiling. She had 12 hours before the next print deadline. 12 hours to find proof. And maybe 12 hours before whoever killed Marcus came for her. Claire started pulling files. Box after box. Scanning. Discarding. Searching. Then she pulled out a file labeled Dawson Media, sealed by order. She opened it. Her eyes went wide. "Oh my God," she whispered. That same evening, Claire returned to the newsroom. It was after hours. Only a skeleton crew remained late shift editors, a few reporters on deadline. The fluorescent lights seemed harsher, the silence heavier. Claire had been gone for 16 hours, long enough for someone to notice, long enough for someone to act. She approached her desk. Something was wrong. She could feel it. The chair was turned slightly. The monitor angle was off. Journalists develop instincts, the same way soldiers do. You know when a space has been violated. Claire sat down slowly, opened her desk drawer. Files she'd organized were out of order. Not by much, but enough. Shit, she muttered under her breath. She checked her computer, logged in. Her hands moved quickly, checking browsing history. Recently opened files. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Someone had been here. Someone professional. Claire opened her bottom drawer, the one where she'd hidden copies of Marcus's files. Empty. Completely empty. Her breathing quickened. She looked around the newsroom. 2 editors at the far end. A janitor mopping. Everyone looked normal. But which one of them was watching? Claire stood, walked to the bathroom. Inside, she locked the stall, pulled out her phone, dialed. Ava, someone broke into my desk. The files are gone, she whispered urgently. What files? The copies I made. From Marcus's desk. A pause. Claire, the only people who knew you had those files were you and me. Silence. Heavy implication. You think someone's watching us. Inside the paper, Claire said, slowly. I think you need to assume everyone is compromised until proven otherwise. Claire ended the call, stared at herself in the bathroom mirror. Exhaustion, paranoia, determination. Trust is a luxury investigators can't afford. She exited the bathroom. The newsroom felt different now. Every glance was suspicious. Every conversation was coded. She walked past the janitor. He nodded politely. She nodded back, kept walking. Then she stopped, turned back. The janitor was gone. The mop bucket was still there, but he was gone. Claire's heart rate spiked. She walked back to where he was, looked down the hallway. Empty. She was being watched, and they weren't even trying to hide it anymore. She pulled out her phone, opened the camera, started taking photos of the newsroom, documenting everything. The exits, the corners, the security cameras. If they wanted to intimidate her, it was working. Sudden sound, an elevator ding. Claire's head snapped toward it. The elevator doors opened. Empty. She stared at it, waiting. Nothing happened. Then the lights in the newsroom flickered. Once, twice, went out completely. Emergency lights kicked in. Red, pulsing. Everyone in the newsroom stopped working. Confusion. An editor called out. Probably just a power surge. Give it a minute. Claire didn't wait. She grabbed her bag, headed for the stairs. She wasn't using the elevator. In the stairwell concrete, echoing Claire's footsteps were quick, controlled. She was counting floors. 10, 9, 8, 7. Then, another set of footsteps. Above her, coming down. Claire stopped, listened. The footsteps stopped too. Coincidence. It had to be coincidence. Claire continued down. The footsteps resumed, matching her pace exactly. Claire speeded up. The footsteps speeded up. She was at the 5th floor. 4th. 3rd. She burst through the door into the 3rd floor hallway. Dark. Empty. She ran toward the main exit. Behind her, the stairwell. Door opened. Slow. Deliberate. Claire didn't look back. She hit the main exit, burst onto the street. Rain was pouring now. She ran to her car, fumbled with keys, got in, locked the doors. She sat there, breathing hard, rain hammering the windshield. Looked back at the building. No one was following, but she could feel eyes on her. Paranoia is a survival mechanism. It keeps you alert, keeps you alive, but it can also drive you insane. Claire started the car, pulled out. In her rearview mirror, a black sedan pulled out 2 cars behind her. Following, she made a turn. The sedan followed. Another turn. Still following. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel. She accelerated. The sedan accelerated. She had 2 choices. Lead them to where she was staying or lose them. Claire made a sudden illegal U-turn. Horns blared. The sedan tried to follow, but got blocked by traffic. Claire gunned it, disappearing into the city. She checked her mirror. No sedan. She was clear. For now. But for now doesn't last long. Claire's phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. 1 word. Run. Run. Claire's motel room. 2:47 a.m. She was awake, staring at her laptop screen. The file she found in the archives was open. Scanned documents. Emails. Photos. She scrolled through emails. Then she stopped. One email sender name made her freeze. n.carter@herald.com. Nathan. The email was dated 6 months ago. Subject: Source confidentiality breach. Body text visible. Per our agreement, I'm forwarding the source list as discussed. Payment should be transferred to the account provided. Claire's hands started shaking. She opened another email. Then another. A trail of communications between Nathan and someone at Dawson Media. He'd been selling out sources. Journalists. Whistleblowers. Anyone who threatened Dawson's empire. She found an attachment. Opened it. It was a list of names. She recognized them immediately. Her father. Marcus. 12 others. He'd given them the list. The same list that got Marcus killed. Claire's face transformed. Shock. Disbelief. Then pure, incandescent rage. She stood abruptly, knocking over her coffee. She didn't even notice. She was already grabbing her phone, dialing Nathan's number. It rang. Rang. Voicemail. I know what you did. Call me back. Now, she said, voice shaking with fury. She hung up. Paste. Dialed again. Voicemail again. You killed him. You killed Marcus. You're a coward and a murderer. And I'm going to... Her voice broke. She hung up. Threw the phone on the bed. Rage is easier than grief. Cleaner. You can focus rage. Direct it. Grief just drowns you. Claire sat on the edge of the bed, head in hands. Her shoulders shook, not crying, just shaking with the effort of containing everything she was feeling. Her phone buzzed. Text from Nathan. Where are you? We need to talk. Claire stared at it. Typed back. Parking garage. 4th level. Main Street. 1 hour. Come alone. She hit send. She was about to do something stupid. Something dangerous. But first insurance. Claire opened her laptop. Started making copies of everything. Uploading to encrypted cloud storage. Emailing to herself. To Ava. Creating backups. She had 3 hours until noon. 3 hours to finish what she'd started. If she walked into that hotel and didn't walk out, the story would continue without her. Underground parking garage. 3:51 a.m. Fluorescent lights flickered. Concrete pillars cast long shadows. Claire's car was parked in the center. Headlights off. She was sitting inside, watching the entrance. Parking garages at 4 a.m. are where bad things happen in movies. Claire knew this. She didn't care. Headlights appeared. Nathan's car. He parked 20 feet away. Got out slowly. Looked around. Saw Claire's car. Claire got out. They faced each other across the empty space. Nathan's hands were visible. placating. Claire, just let me explain. Explain what? How you sold out everyone who trusted you. How you got Marcus killed. That's not what happened. Claire pulled out her phone, holding it up. I have the emails, Nathan. Every single one. You've been feeding information to Dawson for 6 months. Nathan stopped walking. His face crumbled. All pretense dropped. They were going to ruin me. I had debts, gambling debts. They offered to clear everything if I just gave them names. That's all. Just names. Just names. Those names were people. Nathan. People who are dead now because of you. I didn't know they would. I thought they'd just threaten them. Scare them off the story. Claire laughed bitterly. You thought. You were a reporter. You knew exactly what they'd do. Nathan ran his hands through his hair, looking haggard. I was desperate, Claire. I wasn't thinking straight. My father's name was on that list. Silence. Nathan went pale. What? 20 years ago. He was working with journalists to expose Dawson. You gave them his name. They killed him. And you. Her voice cracked. She stopped, took a breath, regained control. You came to his funeral. You held my hand. You told me it would be okay. Nathan's face was anguished. Tears streaming down his cheeks. I didn't know. Claire, I swear. I didn't know your father was connected to any of this. They never told me why they wanted the names. They just... Stop lying. I'm not lying. When I found out Marcus was dead, I tried to get out. I told them I was done. But they said if I didn't keep cooperating, they'd release evidence that I'd fabricated sources in my old articles. My career would be over. I'd be blacklisted. I'd have nothing. So you chose yourself. Over Marcus. Over my father. Over me. Nathan took a step toward her. She took a step back. Claire, please. I loved you. I still don't. Don't you dare. She was shaking. Not with fear. With rage and grief and betrayal all mixed together. The man I loved wouldn't have done this. He died a long time ago. I just didn't realize it. Nathan collapsed against his car, sliding down to sit on the concrete. Broken. What are you going to do? I'm going to publish everything. The emails. The payments. All of it. That'll destroy me. You destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. She turned to walk away. They'll kill you, Claire, the same way they killed Marcus. Is that what you want? Nathan shouted after her. Claire stopped, didn't turn around. At least I'll die telling the truth. That's more than you can say. She got in her car, started the engine. Nathan stood, shouting. Claire, wait. There's something else you need to know about Ava. Claire's brake lights flared. She stopped, rolled down the window slightly. What about Ava? Nathan hesitated. His face was torn guilt, fear, maybe a last shred of decency. Ask her about 1,998. Ask her why she really stepped down from her investigative role. Ask her about Samuel Dawson. Claire's knuckles tightened on the steering wheel. She didn't respond. Just drove away, leaving Nathan alone in the fluorescent-lit garage. Some betrayals cut clean, quick, surgical. Others leave you bleeding slow. Nathan stood there, watching her taillights disappear. He pulled out his phone, made a call. She knows. She has everything, he said, defeated. A voice on the phone, cold. Then, we moved to contingency. Click. Line went dead. Morning. Claire hadn't slept. She was parked outside Ava's house, suburban, quiet. respectable, the kind of neighborhood where nothing bad ever seems to happen. Claire had driven for 2 hours, circling, thinking, trying to decide whether Nathan was lying, trying to convince herself he was. But journalists have instincts, and hers were screaming. Claire got out of the car, walked to the front door, knocked, waited. The door opened. Ava stood there in a bathrobe, coffee mug in hand, surprise on her face. "Claire, what are you? It's 6 in the morning. We need to talk." Ava's expression shifted. She knew. Whatever Claire was here for, she knew it was bad. "Come in." Interior living room. Neat. Books everywhere. Photos on the mantle. A life. Carefully curated. Ava sat on the couch, set down her coffee. Claire remained standing. 1998. You and Samuel Dawson. Ava's face went very still. All the color drained from it. After a long pause. "Who told you? Does it matter?" "I suppose it doesn't." Ava stood, walked to the window, looked out at the quiet street. It was before he was what he is now. Before the empire, he was just a regional editor. Ambitious, charming. You had an affair. Ava didn't look at her. For 3 months, I was investigating his company's labor practices. Unethical, but not illegal. We spent a lot of time together. He was different then, or I thought he was. What happened? Ava's shoulders tensed. I found evidence of fraud, embezzlement, enough to bring down his entire operation. I was going to publish. She turned to face Claire. He begged me not to. Said it would destroy innocent people who worked for him. Said he'd fix it, make restitution, clean up the company. And you believed him. Ava's voice broke. I wanted to believe him. I was in love with him. Or I thought I was. So I held the story. Gave him time. Let me guess. He didn't fix anything. He disappeared. Resurfaced. 6 months later at a competitor. Used the fraud money to buy his way into ownership. Built his empire on stolen funds and my silence. Claire's expression was unreadable. Cold. And you never told anyone. I couldn't. It would have destroyed my career. Proved every sexist stereotype about women journalists sleeping with sources. I'd worked too hard to. So you protected yourself. And him. Ava was defensive. I was young. I made a mistake. One mistake that I've paid for every day since. My father died because of Samuel Dawson. Marcus died. And you've known all along what kind of man he is. You could have warned us. You could have stopped this years ago. Ava's face crumpled. I know. God. Claire. I know. You think I don't wake up every day thinking about the people I could have saved if I'd just been braver? Thinking about it doesn't bring them back. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. What are you going to do? Ava whispered. I'm going to publish everything, including your connection to Dawson. Ava stood abruptly. That's not fair. That was 27 years ago. And it's relevant now. It shows pattern of behavior. It shows how long he's been manipulating people. It'll ruin me. Then you should have told the truth when it mattered. Ava stared at her, tears streaming down her face. But Claire's expression didn't soften. You're just like your father, Ava said, voice cracking. So obsessed with justice that you don't care who you hurt along the way. Claire flinched. Direct hit. Maybe I am, but at least I'm not a coward. She turned to leave. Number. Claire. Wait, there's something else. Something I haven't told you. Claire stopped at the door, didn't turn around. Dawson knows you're investigating him. He's known for weeks, He's been watching you, and he's planning something. I don't know what, but I overheard a phone call at the office. Claire turned slowly. You've been in contact with him? Ava's silence was answer enough. You've been in contact with him and you didn't tell me. Claire's voice rose. He called me once, last week. He wanted to know what you'd found. I told him nothing. I swear, I told him nothing. But you took his call. You talked to him. I was trying to figure out what he was planning. I was trying to protect you. Claire laughed bitterly. By betraying me? She opened the door. We're done, Ava. You and me. The paper. All of it. I don't need a mentor who can't decide which side she's on. Please. Claire, please don't. Ava sobbed. The door closed. Ava was left alone, crumpling onto the couch. Trust is like glass. Once it's shattered, you can put the pieces back together, but you'll always see the cracks. And sometimes the cracks are too deep to ever be whole again. Claire sat in her car, hands gripping the steering wheel. She wasn't crying. She was past crying. She was just empty. Her phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject. Final warning. No sender name. She opened it. One sentence. Stop now, or everyone you care about dies. If you're still with us, you're witnessing something rare, a story where the heroes are just as flawed as the villains. Drop a like if you're invested in seeing how this ends. Claire drove straight to a 24-hour internet cafe. Anonymous. Cash only. She sat at a terminal in the back corner, hood up, sunglasses on despite being indoors. She had backups. Multiple backups. Cloud storage. Encrypted drives. Email drafts. Professional paranoia 101. Never keep evidence in one place. She logged into her accounts, one by one, checking files. She opened her cloud storage. The folder labeled Dawson Files was empty, completely empty. Her eyes widened. She opened another backup. Empty. Another. Empty. No. No, no, no. She was clicking frantically now. Every backup, every copy, all gone. Systematically deleted. Someone had accessed all her accounts, remotely, professionally. The deletion timestamps showed it happened within the last hour, while she was at Ava's house. They'd been waiting, watching. The moment she left her motel room, they'd struck. Claire pulled out her phone with shaking hands, opened her email. The drafts she'd saved gone. The sent messages to herself disappeared from both sent and inbox folders. The physical copies. I still have the physical copies, she said to herself, panicking. She stood abruptly, knocked over the chair, ran out of the cafe, the motel. She'd left everything at the motel. Claire sped through city streets, running red lights, horns blaring. She didn't care. She pulled into the motel parking lot, slammed on brakes. The door to room 14 was ajar. She knew before she even walked inside. She approached slowly, pushed the door open with her foot. The room had been destroyed, systematically. Mattress slashed, drawers emptied. Papers everywhere, but not her papers. Random motel documents. Meaningless. The files were gone. Every single one. Claire stood in the doorway, looking at the destruction. Her face was blank. Shock. 3 days of work. Evidence that could have brought down an empire. Gone. She walked into the room slowly, kneeled down, picked up a random piece of paper, looked at it without seeing it. She had nothing. No proof. No evidence. Just her word against one of the most powerful men in the country. Her phone rang. She answered without looking at the caller ID. What? A voice. Distorted. The same mechanical voice from before. You should have listened, Miss Rivers. Claire's grip tightened on the phone. Who is this? Someone who's trying to save your life. Stop investigating. Walk away. Forget you ever heard the name Samuel Dawson. Or what? Or we'll do to you what we did to Marcus Reed. Only slower. And we'll make sure everyone you've ever cared about watches. Click. Line went dead. Claire stood there, phone still pressed to her ear, staring at the destroyed room. Most people would have stopped, would have recognized when they were beaten, but Claire Rivers wasn't most people. She started laughing, quiet at first, then louder, almost manic. She was still laughing as she walked to the bathroom, reached behind the toilet tank, pulled out a waterproof bag taped to the porcelain. Inside the bag, a USB drive. Professional paranoia. 101. Always have a backup for your backup. Claire held up the USB drive. Her laughter stopped. Her expression hardened into something cold and determined. You want a war? Let's have a war. She pulled out her phone, dialed. I need a lawyer, the kind who doesn't mind making enemies. But Claire didn't wait for lawyers. She drove to a storage facility across town, the address Marcus had left in his hidden file. Unit 247. She showed the attendant a photo of her and Marcus at a work event. He's my cousin. He died last week. I'm handling his estate. The attendant's expression softened. I'm sorry for your loss. He slid a key across the counter. Just don't tell my manager. All right? Oh, inside the storage unit, dim, dusty. Boxes stacked. Claire pulled the light cord. A single bulb illuminated the space. She started searching. Box after box. Old furniture. College textbooks. Then a small lockbox in the back corner. She tried the password Marcus left. Click. It opened. Inside, another USB drive, and a handwritten note in Marcus's handwriting. Claire, if you're reading this, it means they got me. Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't try to be a hero. Just publish everything and get out. They're more dangerous than you think. M. Claire's hand trembled as she picked up the USB drive. Marcus had given her a gift. A final gift. The evidence she needed. She plugged the drive into her laptop. Folders appeared. Financial records. Communications. Personnel files. Harassment complaints. Claire opened the harassment file. Dozens of documents. Settlements. NDAs. Women silenced with money and legal threats. Samuel Dawson hadn't just covered up corruption. He'd covered up decades of sexual harassment, assault, abuse of power, and he'd used the legal system to bury his victims. One name jumped out at her. Ava Miller. Settlement $500,000. 1,998. Claire stopped scrolling. Stared at Ava's name. Oh my God. Ava. It wasn't just an affair. Dawson had assaulted her and paid her to stay silent. Everything Ava had said, the shame, the secret, it all made horrible sense now. Claire looked at the USB drive, then at her phone, then at the storage unit exit. She had enough. More than enough. She could publish tomorrow and destroy Samuel Dawson forever. Her phone rang. Locked number. She answered. A voice different this time. Smoother. Cultured. Miss Rivers. My name is Samuel Dawson. I think it's time we met. Claire's blood ran cold. I have a proposal for you. One I think you'll find very generous. Meet me tomorrow, noon. The Tower Hotel, penthouse suite. Come alone. Why would I do that? He chuckled. Because I know you have Marcus Reed's files, and I know you're planning to publish them. But before you do something we'll both regret, hear me out. I can make you very wealthy, Miss Rivers. Wealthy enough to never work again. I'm not interested in your money. Everyone's interested in money. But if that doesn't motivate you, perhaps your mother's safety will. Claire's jaw clenched. Noon tomorrow. Don't be late. And Miss Rivers, bring the files. All of them. Click. Line went dead. Claire stood there, phone still to her ear, in the middle of the storage unit surrounded by Marcus's belongings. She'd wanted proof. Now she had it. She'd wanted a confrontation. Now she was getting one. She gathered the USB drives, locked the box, left the unit. As she walked to her car, she made a call. It's me. I need you to do something for me. If I don't call you by 2 p.m. tomorrow, publish everything. A pause. Everything. That night, Claire returned to her car parked outside the storage facility. She was exhausted, wired, running on caffeine and adrenaline. She got in the car, locked the doors, sat for a moment, just breathing. Then she noticed something. A smell. Cologne. Not hers. Her eyes widened. She looked in the rearview mirror. Nothing. Back seat. Empty. But the smell was there. Someone had been inside her car. She checked the glove compartment. Papers disturbed. The center console. The USB drive from earlier gone. Her backup was gone. They'd taken it. While she was inside the storage unit, they'd broken into her car and taken it. No, 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 no. She checked under the seats. Nothing. They'd taken it. Her breathing accelerated. She looked around the parking lot. Empty cars. Shadows. Any one of them could be watching. Her phone buzzed. Text message. Photo attachment. She opened it. It was a photo of her, taken 10 seconds ago, through her car windshield, from across the parking lot. Her head snapped up. She stared at where the photo was taken from. A van. Dark. Tinted windows. She could barely see the outline of someone inside. She had two choices: drive away, or confront them. Claire started her car. The van's headlights turned on. She pulled out of the parking spot. The van followed. They weren't even trying to hide anymore. Claire drove through city streets. The van stayed 3 cars back. Constant. Menacing. She made a turn. It followed. Another turn. Still following. Her phone rang. She answered. What do you want? Why, a voice. Different. Rougher. Threatening. Just want you to know we're here. Watching. Waiting. You think following me is going to scare me off? Nah. Following you is just so you know we can. Anytime. Anywhere. He paused. You live at 1847 Riverside. Apartment 3B. You get coffee every morning at Java House on 5th. Your mother's at your aunt's place in Greendale, 42 Willow Lane. Should I continue? Claire's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Touch any of them and I'll... He laughed. You'll what? Publish your little story? That's cute. But here's the thing. Sweetheart, you publish, and accidents happen. House fires. Car crashes. Gas leaks. Tragic. So very tragic. You're threatening to kill my family. Not threatening. Just explaining consequences. You're a journalist. You understand consequences, right? The van suddenly accelerated, pulled alongside Claire's car. She couldn't see inside through the tinted windows, but she knew they could see her. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna meet with Mr. Dawson tomorrow. You're gonna take his very generous offer. You're gonna destroy all copies of those files. And then you're gonna go back to writing fluff pieces about city council meetings. And if I don't, then we're gonna find your mother at your aunt's house. And we're gonna make sure the last thing she sees before she dies is your face on the news, reporting your own family's murder. The van swerved toward Claire's car. She jerked the wheel, nearly hit a parked car. The van laughed. The driver was laughing, then sped off, disappearing into traffic. Claire pulled over, hands shaking so badly she could barely hold the wheel. She was hyperventilating, panic attack setting in. She fumbled for her phone, dialed her mother. It rang, and rang, and rang. Voicemail. Mom, call me back, please, as soon as you get this. Please, she said, voice breaking. She hung up, dialed again, voicemail again. She dialed her aunt. Hello? Aunt Linda answered. Linda, is Mom there? Is she okay? Claire gasped. She's fine, dear. She's asleep upstairs. Arrived around midnight. Exhausted. What's wrong? Relief flooded Claire's face. She could breathe again. Nothing. Nothing. Just keep the doors locked. Okay? And don't let her leave without calling me first. Claire, you're scaring me. What's going on? I can't explain right now. Just please, trust me. All right, dear. We'll be careful. Claire ended the call, sat there in her parked car, streetlights casting orange pools around her, darkness pressing in from all sides. She'd thought she was hunting predators, but she was the prey. Her phone buzzed. Another text. Another photo. This, one of her aunt's house, taken from across the street. Timestamp. 3 minutes ago. Text below. Sleep well, Miss Rivers. Big day tomorrow. Claire stared at the photo. Then, slowly, deliberately, she opened her camera roll, started deleting photos, clearing her texts, removing any connection to her mother, her aunt, anyone she cared about. If she was going to war, she couldn't give them hostages. She pulled out the remaining USB drive from Marcus's storage unit, the one she'd hidden in her jacket lining. Looked at it. This was all she had left. The only copy. If she was going to die tomorrow, she'd make sure the truth survived. This is the moment everything changes. If you want to see Claire face down her demons, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because the finale is going to be explosive. Claire drove to the Herald building. 1 a.m. Security guard looked up. Miss Rivers? It's 1 a.m. You okay? She forced a smile. Just chasing a deadline. You know how it is. He nodded. Went back to his phone. Claire walked to the elevator. The doors closed. She was alone. She leaned against the wall, closed her eyes. 18 hours until she met Samuel Dawson. 18 hours to prepare. The elevator dinged. Doors opening. The Herald newsroom. 2:37 a.m. Completely empty. Emergency lights casting eerie shadows. Claire sat at her desk, the last USB drive plugged into her computer, frantically typing. She had 16 hours. 16 hours to write the story of her career, the story that would end Samuel Dawson, or end her. Split screen showed security footage, a car pulling into the parking garage below, Nathan getting out, looking around, heading for the elevator. She wasn't as alone as she thought. The elevator dinged. Nathan emerged on the newsroom floor, looked around, spotted Claire's lit desk in the corner, approached slowly. "You shouldn't be here," he said from across the room. Claire's fingers froze. On the keyboard, she didn't look up. "Neither should you." He came closer. "They're watching this building, Claire. You know that, right? They saw you come in. Let them watch." He reached her desk, looked at her screen, saw what she was writing. The Dawson Files. A decades-long pattern of corruption, harassment, and murder. "You can't publish that." She finally looked up. "Watch me. They'll kill you. They'll kill everyone you love. Claire, please. You have to." "What? Run? Hide? Pretend Marcus didn't die? Pretend my father didn't die? How many more people have to die before someone says enough?" Nathan ran his hands through his hair. He looked terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed, haunted. "You think I don't know that? You think I don't see Marcus's face every time I close my eyes? Then help me. Give me a statement. Go on record about what they made you do." He laughed bitterly. "And destroy what's left of my career. My life? Your career is already destroyed, Nathan. You just haven't admitted it yet." Silence. Heavy truth hanging between them. "I came here to stop you. They sent me. Said if I couldn't convince you to drop the story, they'd release evidence that I'd been embezzling from the paper for years," he said quietly. "Have you?" "No, but they can manufacture evidence. You know they can. They'll destroy me either way." He sat down in the chair across from her desk. "Defeated. I'm already a dead man. I just wanted to try to save you before I go down. Then help me. Make your death mean something." "How? How?" "Give me a recorded statement. Everything you know. Everything you did. Corroborate Marcus's files." She paused. "Be the man I married. The one who believed journalism mattered. Just one more time." Nathan stared at her, emotions warring on his face. Fear. Guilt. Maybe. Finally. Courage. "If I do this, they'll kill me. You know that," he said after a long moment. "Probably. And you're okay with that? Sending me to my death? I'm walking into the same fire tomorrow. At least we'll burn together." Nathan let out a shaky breath, then nodded slowly. All right. Get your recorder. Time jump. 4:12 a.m. Claire's phone sat on the desk between them, recording. Nathan talked, and Claire listened, taking notes. "And they said if I didn't provide the names, they'd expose my gambling debts to my editors. I'd be fired, blacklisted. So I gave them what they wanted." His voice broke. "I told myself it was just names. They wouldn't actually hurt anyone. But I knew. Deep down, I knew." "How many names?" 17. Over 6 months. Marcus was the last one. After they killed him, I tried to get out. Told them I was done. That's when they started threatening me directly." "Who's they?" "Give me names." Nathan pulled out his phone, scrolled through contacts, read them off. Claire wrote each one down. "Richard Torres, head of security for Dawson Media. He's the one who makes people disappear. Sarah Chen, legal counsel. She handles the settlements, the NDAs. And," he hesitated, "and Detective Michael Reeves, City Police, Homicide Division. He's on Dawson's payroll. Has been for years. He's the one who ruled your father's death." "An accident?" Nathan said quietly. Claire's pen stopped mid-word. Her face went very still. Reeves investigated my father's death. I know. I'm sorry. He came to the funeral. Shook my hand. Told me he'd done everything he could to find answers. He was paid $50,000 the week after your father died. Offshore account. I have the transaction records. Claire's hand was shaking. She set down her pen carefully, took a breath, forced herself back under control. Where are the records? Where are the records? Encrypted drive. Safety deposit box at First National. Box 447. The key is sudden sound. Glass shattering. Both of them froze. Someone else was in the building. Claire stopped the recording, grabbed her phone and laptop. Nathan stood, looking toward the source of the sound. The far end of the newsroom, near the windows. Another sound. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Multiple people. We need to leave. Now, Nathan whispered. Claire grabbed her bag. Fire stairs. Go. They moved quickly toward the emergency exit. Behind them, flashlight beams swept across the newsroom. Miss Rivers, we know you're here. Make this easy on yourself, a voice called out. They reached the fire door. She pushed it open. Alarm blared. They ran down the stairs, footsteps echoing. Behind them, the fire door opened. Multiple sets of footsteps coming down. Fast. They're going to catch us. Nathan gasped. Split up. You go down. I'll go up. Confuse them. That's suicide. Everything's suicide at this point. At least this way one of us gets out. They reached the 8th floor landing. Claire grabbed Nathan's arm. The safety deposit box. 447. Where's the key? Nathan fumbled in his wallet, pulled out a small key, handed it to her. Claire, go. Run. Don't stop. She pushed him toward the downward stairs, then turned and ran up. Nathan hesitated for just a moment, then ran down. The pursuers reached the 8th floor, saw the split. 2 went down after Nathan. 2 went up after Claire. Claire ran upstairs. 10, 11, 12. Her lungs burning. The roof access door ahead. She hit it locked. Chains wrapped around the handle. No, no, no. Footsteps behind her. Getting closer. She looked around desperately. Nowhere to go. She was trapped. She pulled out her phone, opened the camera, started taking photos of the newsroom, documenting everything. She hit send on a pre-written email. Subject, publish immediately. The phone showed. Message sent. The 2 men appeared on the landing below. Large. Professional. One spoke into a radio. We have her. Roof access. 12. Radio crackling. Bring her down. Mr. Dawson wants to talk to her. The men started up the last flight of stairs. Claire backed against the locked door. She pulled out her phone, hands shaking, and hit send on a pre-written email. Subject, publish immediately. Who'd you just email, miss? Rivers? One man asked. The truth. The man reached for her. Suddenly sound of sirens. Lots of them. The building's fire alarm had triggered an automatic response. Fire trucks. Police. Within minutes, the building would be swarmed. The men hesitated. Radio crackled again. Abort. Too much attention. Fall back. The men looked at each other, then at Claire. One of them pointed at her. You just bought yourself a few hours. That's all. Mister, Dawson is still expecting you at noon. They turned and ran down the stairs. Claire collapsed against the door, sliding down to sit on the landing. adrenaline leaving her body. She was shaking, crying, laughing, all at once. She'd survived. Barely, but she'd survived. Her phone rang. She answered. Ava's voice was panicked. "Claire, I just got your email. What the hell is happening?" "Publish it. Everything I sent you. Publish it now. Claire, this is insane. There are legal implications. We need to fact-check. Run it by lawyers. There's no time. They're coming for me. If you don't publish it now, no one will ever know the truth." Silence. Then, "I'm sorry for everything. You were right about me, Ava, but you're also right about this." The story goes live in 10 minutes. Claire closed her eyes, leaned her head back against the door. "Thank you." The line went dead. Sirens getting louder outside. Fire crews would be here any second. In 10 minutes, the world would know Samuel Dawson's secrets. In 12 hours, Claire would face him, and one of them wouldn't walk away. Morning, 8:47 a.m. Claire, in a borrowed apartment she hadn't mentioned to anyone. Safe, for now. She was setting up multiple laptops, phones, tablets, a command center. The story had gone live 3 hours ago. The Herald's website had crashed within minutes from traffic. Social media was exploding. News networks were scrambling to catch up. Headlines showed, "Media mogul Samuel Dawson accused of decades of corruption. Dawson media stock plummets 40%. Number Dawson files trending worldwide." But Claire wasn't celebrating. She knew the first story was just the opening shot. She uploaded files to multiple platforms: Dropbox, Google Drive, WikiLeaks, encrypted networks, creating backups of backups, building redundancy into everything. If they killed her now, it wouldn't matter. The information was already out there, distributed, impossible to contain. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered, put it on speaker. "What? You've made a terrible mistake, Miss Rivers." It was Dawson, voice tight with barely controlled rage. "Funny. I was going to say the same thing to you. Do you have any idea what you've done? How many lives you've destroyed?" She laughed. "Are you seriously trying to make me the villain here? You killed people. You destroyed lives. I just told the truth. Truth is relative and expensive. I have 200 lawyers who will bury you in litigation for the rest of your life. Good luck with that. I'm judgment-proof. No assets. No savings. Just a laptop and a death wish." A pause. Dawson's voice changed, becoming smoother. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for. Most journalists fold when threatened. But you're different. Is there a point to this call? The point is, this doesn't have to end badly for you. You've made your statement, got your byline, won your Pulitzer, or whatever matters to you. Now let's be adults about this." "Adults? I'm prepared to offer you $10 million. Offshore account, untraceable. You take the money, disappear for a year or two, come back when this blows. Over. Everyone wins." Claire stopped typing, looked at the phone. "You're trying to bribe me. I'm trying to save your life. Take the money. Miss Rivers. Live on a beach somewhere. Write a novel. Forget any of this ever happened. And what happens to the people you hurt? The women you assaulted? The journalists you killed? That's not your problem anymore," he said coldly. "But it is, 'cause unlike you, I actually give a damn about something other than myself." Silence. Then you're a fool. and you'll die a fool's death. Click. Line went dead. Claire stared at the phone, then went back to typing. Faster now. More urgently. She had 3 hours until noon. 3 hours to finish what she'd started. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She was writing follow-up articles, preparing more document dumps, setting up automated releases in case she didn't make it. If she walked into that hotel and didn't walk out, the story would continue without her. Her phone buzzed. Text from Ava. Police want to talk to you. Reeves has been suspended. FBI is opening an investigation. You did it. Claire read the message. Didn't smile. Just nodded to herself. Winning the first battle doesn't mean you've won the war. Another text. From Nathan. Made it out. Gave statement to FBI. I'm so sorry. For everything. Claire typed back. Just stay alive. And tell the truth. That's all that matters now. 11:42 a.m. Claire stood in front of a mirror in the bathroom. She was dressed simply dark jeans, white shirt, no jewelry, hair pulled back. She looked tired, scared, but determined. She pulled out a small recording device, clipped it inside her shirt collar, hidden. Then a backup recorder in her jacket pocket. Then her phone, set to record, in her bag. She was going to walk into Samuel Dawson's hotel room, and she was going to get him to confess, or she was going to die trying. Claire checked her watch. 11:47. She picked up her bag, took one last look around the apartment. Might be the last time she saw any place safe. She walked out, locked the door behind her. Exterior, Tower Hotel. Massive, luxurious. Claire's car pulled up. Valet took her keys. She walked through the gold-plated doors. The camera followed her into the lobby, toward the elevator. Her hand reached out, pressed P for penthouse. The doors closed. Her reflection in the mirrored elevator. Scared. Alone. Rising toward whatever waited above. Penthouse floor. The elevator doors opened. Claire stepped out into a private hallway. Marble floors. Art on the walls originals, not prints. Wealth so profound it was almost obscene. The penthouse suite cost $30,000 a night. Samuel Dawson rented it by the month. Claire approached the double doors at the end of the hall. Before she could knock, they opened. A man in a suit security nodded to her. Miss Rivers, he's expecting you. He stepped aside. Claire entered. Interior. Massive windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture. A bar in the corner. And sitting in a leather chair, back to her, was Samuel Dawson. Punctual. I appreciate that. He didn't turn around. He swiveled the chair. For the first time, the full view of him appeared. Mid-60s. Handsome, in a cold, predatory way. Expensive suit. The kind of man who'd never been told no in his life. Please, sit. He gestured to the chair across from him. Claire didn't move. I'll stand. He smiled. Suit yourself. Can I offer you a drink? I have a 30-year-old scotch that cost more than your annual salary. I'm not here for drinks. He poured himself one anyway. No, you're here because I told you to be. Let's not pretend otherwise. He took a sip, savored it. You've caused me considerable trouble, Miss Rivers. My stock is in freefall. My board is calling for my resignation. I'm facing multiple federal investigations. All because you couldn't let sleeping dogs lie. Those sleeping dogs were murder victims. Dramatic. But I suppose that's your job, isn't it? Drama. Sensationalism. You journalists love to pretend you're noble truth seekers, but really you're just selling stories. Same as I am. We're nothing alike. He laughed. No, we both manipulate information for profit. I'm just more honest about it. He stood, walked to the windows, looked out at the city below. Do you know what I see when I look out there? Millions of people, living their little lives, working their little jobs. None of them matter, not individually. They're just data points. He turned to face her. Your father understood that. He knew that truth was just another commodity to be traded. He was making good money selling me information until he got greedy. Started thinking he could play both sides. Claire's jaw clenched. He was trying to expose you. He was trying to get paid twice. By me and by whatever journalist he was feeding information to. When I found out, I gave him a choice. Stop, or there would be consequences. He paused. He chose poorly. You killed him, Claire said, voice shaking. I never said that. In fact, officially, your father died in a tragic accident. Single car collision. Very sad. The police did a thorough investigation. The police you own. He smiled. Own is such a strong word. Let's say I have mutually beneficial relationships with certain public servants. He walked closer to Claire. She held her ground. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to issue a retraction. Say your sources were unreliable, that you published in haste without proper verification. You'll apologize publicly. Never. Then you'll disappear. Just like Marcus Reed. Just like your father. You're threatening to kill me. Right here. Right now. He laughed. God, no. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to destroy you. Financially. Professionally. Personally. I'm going to sue you for defamation, $200 million. You'll spend the rest of your life in debt. No reputable paper will ever hire you again. Your name will become synonymous with journalistic malpractice. He poured another drink. And if that doesn't motivate you, well, your mother lives at your aunt's place right now, 42 Willow Lane. Lovely neighborhood. Would be a shame if something happened there. Gas leak. Maybe. Those old houses. You know, pipes get corroded. Claire's face went white with rage. You touch her, and you'll what? Kill me? Please. I have security. Lawyers. Resources you can't even imagine. You're one woman with a laptop and delusions of grandeur. He drained his glass, set it down. So here's my final offer. Take the money. 10 million. Disappear. Let this story die. Or refuse. And watch everyone you love suffer before you die. Broken and forgotten. Claire's hand moved to her pocket. The recording device was running. She was getting all of this. You think money solves everything, in my experience. Yes. Then you've never experienced real consequences. But you're about to. She pulled out her phone, played a recording. His own voice filled the room. Your father died in a tragic accident. When I found out, I gave him a choice. Stop, or there would be consequences. He chose poorly. Dawson's face darkened. The casual mask dropped. What was underneath was cold. Dangerous. That recording is inadmissible. Single-party consent laws. You didn't inform me you were recording. I don't need it to be admissible in court. I just need it to go viral. She held up her phone. Live streaming. Right now. To 6 different platforms. 40,000 people are watching this conversation. Dawson's expression shifted to rage. He moved toward her fast. She backed up, but he grabbed her wrist, twisting it. The phone clattered to the floor. "You stupid bitch." The security guard rushed in, but he didn't grab Dawson. He grabbed Claire, pulled her away. "Let go of me." Dawson was breathing hard, composing himself. "Cut the feed. Now." The security guard picked up Claire's phone, ended the live stream. But the damage was done. The feed was live for 90 seconds. Long enough. Get her out of here. And make sure she understands what happens if she ever comes near me again, Dawson said to security. The security guard started dragging Claire toward the door. She was fighting, but he was too strong. 40,000 people just watched you threaten me. They heard you admit to killing my father. And by morning, my lawyers will have every video taken down. Copyright infringement. Terms of service violations. This conversation never happened. The internet never forgets. Then, let's hope you do. The security guard threw Claire out into the hallway. She landed hard, sprawled on the marble floor. The door slammed shut behind her. Lock clicking. She lay there for a moment, breathing hard, then slowly pushed herself up. Her wrist was bruised where he grabbed her. Her phone was gone, but she reached into her jacket, pulled out the backup recorder. Still running, still recording. Professional paranoia. Always have a backup. Claire stood, stumbled to the elevator, pressed the button, got in. As the doors closed, she leaned against the wall, clutching the recorder. She'd gotten what she came for. The confession, the threat, all on tape. But getting out alive, that was the next problem. The elevator reached the lobby. Doors opened. 2 police officers were waiting. Detective Reeves, the corrupt cop on Dawson's payroll, stepped forward. "Claire Rivers, you're under arrest for trespassing and harassment." He grabbed her arm, started cuffing her. "What? This is insane. I was invited." "Mister, Dawson has filed a restraining order. You violated it by coming here. You have the right to remain silent." Claire's eyes widened in understanding. This was the plan all along. Get her arrested, confiscate the evidence, make her look unstable. He'd been 3 steps ahead, the whole time. Police station. Interrogation room. 3:47 p.m. Claire sat handcuffed to a table. She'd been here for 3 hours. No lawyer. No phone call. Reeves sat across from her, smug. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to be charged with criminal harassment, trespassing, and making false statements to law enforcement. That's 3 to 5 years minimum. You're on his payroll. Everyone knows it now." Reeves laughed. "Knows what?" "Some conspiracy theories on the internet. I've been a decorated officer for 20 years. You're a disgraced journalist with a vendetta. Who do you think the jury will believe? The FBI suspended you, temporarily, pending investigation, which will clear me, because there's no evidence." He leaned forward. "Your father was a dirty cop, took bribes from me for years before he got greedy, got himself killed. You've wasted your whole life trying to prove otherwise. But it's time to accept reality." Claire's expression hardened. "He was a better cop than you'll ever be. He's a dead cop, and you're about to join him if you don't smarten up." The door opened. Another officer entered, whispered something to Reeves. His expression changed. Confusion, then alarm. "What do you mean it's everywhere?" Reeves asked the officer. "The recording. From the hotel. It's been released. WikiLeaks. Twitter. YouTube. It's trending. #1 worldwide." Reeves pulled out his phone, started scrolling. His face went pale. Split screen showed social media explosion. Clips of Dawson's threats going viral. Hashtags. Number Dawson confession. Number justice for Claire. Number arrest Dawson. The backup recorder in her jacket hadn't been confiscated. It had been set to auto-upload to the cloud every 30 minutes. Back in the interrogation room, Reeves stared at Claire in disbelief. "How did you—" Claire smiled for the first time. "You are not the only one who knows how to plan ahead." The door burst open. FBI agents, 3 of them, badges out. "Detective Reeves, you're under arrest for obstruction of justice, accepting bribes, and conspiracy to commit murder." Reeves stood abruptly. "This is bullshit. You can't." 2 agents grabbed him, cuffed him. Read him his rights as they dragged him out. He was shouting, protesting, but it was over. The lead FBI agent turned to Claire. "Miss Rivers, I'm Agent Williams. We need to talk." Different room. Nicer. Coffee. Water. Claire was uncuffed now. Agent Williams sat across from her, notepad open. First, that was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever seen. Walking into Dawson's hotel room alone. Probably both. "The recording you released, it's enough for us to arrest Dawson. We're executing search warrants on his properties, his offices, seizing financial records. You're actually going to charge him? With everything we've got. Conspiracy to commit murder, obstruction, bribery, RICO charges. He's going to prison for the rest of his life." Claire's face showed relief, disbelief, exhaustion all at once. "My father, we're reopening the investigation into his death. Based on what we have now, it's clearly a homicide. We'll get justice for him." Tears welled up in Claire's eyes. She didn't try to hide them. "Thank you. You did the hard part. You got the evidence, took the risks. We're just cleaning up." He slid a business card across the table. "We'll need your full statement. Everything. And you'll probably have to testify when this goes to trial. Are you willing?" "Absolutely." "Good. Because men like Dawson don't go down easy. He'll fight. His lawyers will try to discredit you, drag your name through the mud." Claire smiled grimly. "Let them try. I've got nothing left to lose." Exterior. Police station. Evening. Claire walked out the front doors. Free. Press cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. She ignored them all. She found her car impounded, but now released. Got in. Sat there for a moment in silence. Her phone returned to her, buzzed with notifications. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Messages of support. Interview requests. Book deals. Speaking engagements. She ignored them all. Opened one text. From Ava. "You did it. I'm so proud of you. Come home." Claire stared at the message. Didn't respond. Not yet. She'd won. Samuel Dawson was finished. The truth was out. But winning didn't feel the way she'd imagined. It felt like Tuesday. Claire started the car. Drove through the city. News tickers on buildings showed. Breaking. Media mogul Samuel Dawson arrested on multiple charges. Claire pulled over at a cemetery. Got out. Walked through the rows of headstones until she reached one. Officer Thomas Rivers, beloved father. She knelt down in front of it, placed her hand on the cold stone. "I did it, Dad. I got him. I got them all." Tears streamed down her face. I wish you were here to see it, to know that you weren't crazy, that you weren't dirty, that everything you tried to do mattered." She sat there in silence for a long moment. Then, I don't know what to do now. This was all I had. Getting justice for you. And now that it's done, I'm just empty. The wind rustled leaves. Somewhere, a bird called. Life continuing, indifferent to human drama. Revenge doesn't heal you. Justice doesn't bring them back. The dead stay dead, and the living have to figure out how to keep going. But maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all any of us can do. Claire stood, wiped her eyes, took one last look at the headstone, then walked away. As she drove away from the cemetery, a news alert appeared on her phone. Breaking. Samuel Dawson posts $50 million bail. Released pending trial. Her expression hardened. It wasn't over yet. If this story has kept you on the edge of your seat, we need you to hit that subscribe button right now. This channel dives deep into stories of justice, corruption, and the people brave enough to fight back. Don't miss what comes next. 2 days later, federal courthouse. Press everywhere. Claire stood on the courthouse steps, preparing to enter for a preliminary hearing. Nathan approached, looking nervous. Claire, wait. She turned. Their eyes met. Complicated history between them. I'm testifying today. Against Dawson. The FBI granted me immunity in exchange for full cooperation. I know. They told me. I wanted you to hear it from me first. What I'm going to say. It's going to be ugly. All the things I did. The people I sold out. He looked down at his hands. Including your father. Claire's jaw clenched, but she didn't look away. Were you involved in his death? No, I swear. I didn't even know who he was when I gave them his name. That was 2 months before we even met. But I gave them his name. And that led to, his voice broke. I'm so sorry, Claire. I'm so goddamn sorry. Claire studied his face, saw genuine remorse there. Doesn't absolve him, but acknowledges it. Sorry, doesn't bring anyone back. I know, but it's all I have left. Silence. Reporters watching from a distance, cameras rolling. What you're doing today, testifying, it's going to destroy your career, your reputation, everything. I know. So why do it? Nathan looked at her. Because you were right. About everything. I became everything I used to hate. Sold my integrity for money. Betrayed people who trusted me. He took a shaky breath. I can't undo what I did. But I can make sure Dawson pays for what he did. Maybe that's worth something. Claire nodded slowly. It is. She turned to walk into the courthouse. Nathan called after her. Claire, do you think someday you could forgive me? Claire stopped, didn't turn around. I don't know. Ask me again in 10 years. She walked inside. Nathan stood there, alone, watching her go. Then he followed, ready to face the consequences of his choices. Interior, courtroom. Nathan on the witness stand. Under oath. Federal prosecutor questioning him. Mr. Carter, can you describe your relationship with Dawson Media? Nathan's voice was steady. For 6 months, I was a paid informant. I provided them with names of journalists, sources, and whistleblowers who were investigating the company. And what happened to those people? Some were intimidated into silence. Some were blackmailed. Some were paid off. And some, his voice broke. Some disappeared. The courtroom was silent. Every eye on Nathan. Including Marcus Reed? Yes. I gave them his name 3 weeks before he died. And you believe his death was connected to your disclosure? I know it was. They killed him to stop his investigation. In the gallery, Claire watched, her expression unreadable. "Mr. Carter, why are you testifying today?" Nathan looked directly at the jury. "Because I can't live with what I did. Because people died because of my cowardice. And because the only way to honor their memory is to make sure the people who killed them face justice." He looked at Claire. "I was a coward, but I'm trying not to be one anymore." The prosecutor nodded, satisfied. The defense attorney stood for cross-examination, but Nathan had already made his impact. The jury was moved. The gallery was moved. Redemption doesn't erase the past, but it can give the future a fighting chance. After the hearing, Nathan exited the courthouse alone. No press conference, no statements. He just walked away, carrying the weight of his testimony. Claire watched him go from the courthouse steps. Didn't call out, doesn't wave, just watched. Some relationships can't be repaired. The damage is too deep. The betrayal too profound. Her phone rang. She answered. "Hello? Agent Williams. Miss Rivers. We just arrested Samuel Dawson again. New charges. Witness tampering. Attempted bribery. His bail has been revoked. He's being held without bond until trial." Claire's face showed satisfaction, relief, but also exhaustion. "Thank you for letting me know. This couldn't have happened without you. You know that, right?" "I know." She hung up, stood there on the courthouse steps, surrounded by reporters and cameras and noise, but feeling utterly alone. Victory tastes like ash when you've lost everything getting there. A reporter approached Claire with a microphone. "Miss Rivers, how does it feel, knowing Samuel Dawson is finally behind bars?" Claire looked at the camera, tired, haunted, but still standing. "It feels unfinished." Montage, news footage, multiple channels, multiple dates, showing the collapse of an empire. In the weeks following Samuel Dawson's arrest, his empire began to crumble. Dawson Media Headquarters. Employees carrying boxes, leaving. Stock ticker showing plummeting values. Building being emptied. News anchor voiceover. Dawson Media Corporation has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as advertisers flee and investigations deepen. Board meeting. Emergency session. Vote of no confidence. Dawson's portrait being removed from the wall. News anchor. The company's board has voted unanimously to remove Samuel Dawson as CEO. Effective immediately. Dawson being led into court. Handcuffed. Orange jumpsuit. His hair gray. Weight lost. The veneer of power stripped away. News anchor. Additional charges have been filed, including racketeering, tax evasion, and conspiracy to commit murder in the Ten affair. Deaths of journalist Marcus Reed and police officer Thomas Rivers. Women coming forward. Press conferences. Testimonies. Faces blurred for privacy, but voices strong. Woman 1. "He assaulted me in 2008. Told me no one would believe me. Paid me to stay quiet." Woman 2. "I was an intern, 22 years old. He ruined my career when I refused his advances." Woman 3. "I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not ashamed anymore. He's the one who should be ashamed." More women. A chorus of voices. Decades of silence breaking all at once. 37 women came forward. 37 lives he'd damaged. 37 stories he'd tried to bury. Ava watching the news coverage in her living room. Tears streaming down her face. Then she picked up her phone. Dialed. "My name is Ava Miller. I was assaulted by Samuel Dawson in 1998. And I'd like to make a statement. Trial day, 6 months later, federal courthouse, media circus. Claire entered, along with Nathan, Ava, and dozens of other witnesses. The trial lasted 8 weeks, 200 witnesses, 10,000 documents. A mountain of evidence that even the best lawyers couldn't explain away. Interior courtroom. The jury was being instructed. Dawson sat at the defense table, looking smaller somehow, diminished. His lawyers beside him, grim-faced. As the jury reached a verdict, the judge asked. The jury foreman stood. "We have, Your Honor." The courtroom held its breath. On the charge of racketeering, guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit murder, guilty. On the charges of bribery and obstruction of justice, guilty. The foreman read through 23 charges. Guilty on all counts. Dawson's face showed no emotion. Just nothing. He was a man who'd realized he'd lost everything, and there was no way back. In the gallery, Claire sat beside Nathan and Ava. Her expression was complex. Not joy, not celebration, just closure. "Mr. Dawson, you have been found guilty on all charges. Sentencing will be held in 2 weeks, but given the severity and scope of your crimes, you should expect significant prison time." He banged the gavel. It was over. Exterior courthouse steps. Media frenzy. Claire exited surrounded by press. "Miss Rivers, how do you feel about the verdict? Do you think justice has been served? What's next for you?" Claire stopped at the microphone stand set up for statements. Took a breath. The crowd quieted. "For 20 years I've been chasing answers about my father's death. Today, I finally got them. Samuel Dawson is a murderer, a predator, a man who used his wealth and power to destroy anyone who threatened him." "This verdict doesn't bring my father back. It doesn't undo the harm Dawson caused to countless people. But it sends a message. No one is above the law. No matter how rich, no matter how powerful." Behind her, Ava and Nathan stood together, united, despite everything. "I want to thank everyone who helped make this possible. The FBI, the prosecutors, the witnesses who came forward despite incredible risk, and especially Marcus Reed, who died trying to expose the truth." Her voice broke slightly. "This is for him, for my father, for everyone who was silenced. Today, they finally got their voice back." She stepped away from the microphone. The press erupted with questions, but she was done. She walked down the steps, got into a waiting car, drove away. 2 weeks later, sentencing day. Claire wasn't there. She was watching on TV from a quiet cafe. The judge read the sentence. "Samuel Dawson, you have been convicted of crimes spanning 3 decades. Your actions resulted in deaths, ruined lives, and a systematic corruption of justice itself. I hereby sentence you to consecutive terms totaling 60 years in federal prison without possibility of parole." On TV, Dawson was led away. No last words. No dramatic outburst. Just a broken man shuffling toward a life in prison. Claire watched. She took a sip of coffee. Didn't smile. Didn't cry. Just nodded. Once. 60 years. He was 67. He'd die in prison. Justice, finally, had been served. Claire closed her laptop, paid her bill, walked out into the sunshine. Text on screen. Samuel Dawson died in federal prison 3 years later. His empire was dissolved. His assets were seized and distributed to his victims. 1 month after sentencing, Claire met Ava at a small cafe. Neutral ground. They hadn't spoken since the trial ended. Ava was already there, looking older, tired. She'd aged a decade in the past year. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Claire sat across from her, guarded. I almost didn't. I wouldn't have blamed you. Silence. Uncomfortable. Then, I resigned from the Herald. Officially. It'll be announced next week. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. I can't be the editor-in-chief of a paper dedicated to truth when I spent decades covering up my own. It's hypocritical. Claire didn't argue. Ava was right. I also gave my testimony, publicly, about what Dawson did to me in 1998. I saw. It was brave. Ava laughed bitterly. 27 years too late. Better late than never. Ava looked up, surprised by the gentleness in Claire's tone. I don't expect you to forgive me, for not warning you, for not telling you the truth earlier, for I don't forgive you. Ava's face fell. But I understand you. A pause. You were assaulted, traumatized, silenced. You did what you had to do to survive. That doesn't excuse the choices you made, but it explains them. Ava's eyes filled with tears. I should have been stronger. Should have spoken up. Should have, could have, would have. We can drown in those words if we're not careful. Claire reached across the table, placed her hand over Ava's, briefly, then withdrew. You came forward eventually. You testified. You helped put him away. That matters. Does it make up for the years I stayed silent? No, but it's a start. They sat in silence for a moment. Healing isn't linear. Forgiveness isn't immediate. What are you going to do now? I don't know. Every job offer I get is just people wanting the journalist who brought down Samuel Dawson. They don't want me. They want the story. You've won a Pulitzer. 3 networks offered you anchor positions. You could write your own ticket. I don't want a ticket. I just want. She trailed off, searching for words. I spent my whole life angry, chasing justice, fighting. And now that it's over, I don't know who I am without the fight. Ava nodded, understanding. That's the problem with revenge. It gives your life purpose. And when it's done, you're left with a hole. How do you fill it? Ava smiled sadly. I don't know yet. I'm still figuring that out myself. They sat in comfortable silence. 2 women who'd been through hell, trying to find their way back. Oh, for what it's worth, your father would be incredibly proud of you. Claire's eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. I hope so. I know so. I knew him. Remember? Before everything. He was a good man trying to do the right thing in a corrupt system. Just like you. She stood, preparing to leave. If you ever need anything, references, connections, just someone to talk to, call me, please. Claire nodded. Didn't promise, but acknowledged the offer. Ava walked to the door, then paused, looked back. Thank you, Claire, for finishing what we started, for not giving up when everyone else did. Someone had to. Ava smiled sadly. It should have been me, but I'm glad it was you. She left. Claire sat alone at the table, staring at her coffee, the weight of everything settling. Some relationships can't be saved. The cracks are too deep, but sometimes they can be rebuilt into something different, something quieter, something real. Claire's phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject: job offer. Small town gazette. She opened it. A tiny newspaper in her father's hometown. They needed an editor. No glory, no prestige, just honest journalism in a place that still believed in it. Claire stared at the email. Then the faintest smile crossed her face. 6 months later, the Herald's newsroom. Late at night, 11:47 p.m. The exact time from the opening scene. But this time, Claire was the only person there. By choice. Endings are strange. They're never as clean as you expect. Never as satisfying. There's always loose threads, unanswered questions. Claire walked slowly through the empty newsroom, past desks where colleagues used to sit, past Marcus's desk now occupied by someone new, past her own old desk cleared out, someone else's coffee mug there now. Claire had taken the job at her father's hometown paper. Small circulation, tiny staff, but honest work. The kind of journalism that still meant something. But tonight, she'd come back to the Herald. One last time, to close a chapter. She reached the archives room. The door was slightly ajar. She entered. The same basement from earlier dust. Files. Secrets stored in cardboard boxes. She found the file she was looking for. Her father's original investigation into Dawson Media. The one he'd started 20 years ago and never got to finish. She pulled it out. Sat on the floor. Read through it. His handwriting. His notes. His theories, all of which turned out to be correct. He'd known, even back then. He'd seen what Dawson was, and he'd tried to stop it. Claire traced her fingers over her father's handwriting. A connection across time and death. "You were right, Dad, about all of it," she whispered. She closed the file, held it to her chest for a moment, then carefully placed it back in the box, sealed it, wrote on the label, "Closed. Justice served." She stood, left the archives, walked back through the newsroom, stopped at the window overlooking the city. The same view from the opening scene. But everything had changed. Marcus Reed's desk had a plaque now. In memory of Marcus Reed, journalist, truth seeker, hero. The Herald had established a scholarship in his name. Claire looked at the plaque, touched it gently. Samuel Dawson was in prison. His empire was destroyed. The corrupt cops were fired. The system, at least part of it, had been fixed. But victory doesn't feel the way movies promise. There's no triumphant music, no perfect resolution, just quiet, and the knowledge that you did what you had to do. She walked to the elevator, pressed the button, waited. Claire had lost her marriage, her mentor, her sense of who she was. She'd gained justice. Yes, but at a cost she was still calculating. Was it worth it? The elevator arrived. She stepped in, turned to face the newsroom one last time before the doors closed. "Yeah, it was," she said to the empty room. The elevator doors closed. Her reflection faded to black. Exterior. Claire exited the Herald building for the last time. Street lights cast long shadows. The city was alive. Around her, cars passing, distant sirens, people living their lives, unaware of the battles fought in their name. The truth doesn't change the world overnight, doesn't erase corruption, doesn't bring back the dead, but it matters. It has to matter, because if it doesn't, then what's the point of any of it? Claire walked to her car, got in, sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, staring at the Herald building in her rearview mirror. She started the engine. Classical music played softly from the radio. She adjusted the mirror, and for just a second, the reflection showed someone in the back seat, her father, young, in his police uniform, smiling. Then she blinked, and he was gone. Just a trick of the light. or maybe not. Some ghosts never leave. They walk beside us, reminding us why we fight, why we endure. Claire pulled out of the parking lot, drove through the city streets, past landmarks that meant something to her, the cafe where she met Nathan, the courthouse where justice was served, the cemetery where her father rested. Quick montage, Claire accepting awards, giving speeches, teaching young journalists. But her expression in all of them was the same, present, but distant. A woman who'd seen too much to ever be truly comfortable again. Claire Rivers would go on to win the Pulitzer Prize for investigative reporting. She'd write a book about the Dawson case. She'd speak at journalism schools about ethics and courage. But she'd never be the same person she was before. The cost of truth is innocence. And once you've paid it, there's no refund. Cut back to present. Claire driving out of the city. Highway lights flickering past. The city shrinking in her rearview mirror. She was driving back to her father's hometown. To the small paper. To quiet stories about school board meetings and county fairs. To journalism that mattered in small, local ways. Her phone rang. She glanced at it. Mom, on the caller ID. She smiled genuinely and answered, "Hi, Mom." Her mother's voice, warm. "Are you on your way? I made your favorite pot roast. Your aunt's here too. We've been waiting. I'm about 20 minutes out. Save me some rolls." Her mother chuckled. "Always. Drive safe, sweetheart." "I will. Love you. Love you too." Claire hung up. The smile lingered. It was small, fragile, but real. She'd lost so much, but she still had this. Family. Connection. The simple act of going home. Maybe that's what healing looks like. Not grand gestures or perfect resolutions. Just choosing to keep going. Choosing to find meaning in the small things. The car passed a sign. "Welcome to Riverside. Pop. 12,847. Her father's hometown. Her new home. Claire pulled up to a modest house. Lights on. Inside. Warm. Welcoming. She could see her mother and aunt through the window, setting the table, laughing about something. She sat in the car for a moment, took a deep breath, let it out slowly. The fight was over. The battle was won. But life was just beginning. Claire got out of the car, walked up the path to the front door. Her mother opened it before she could knock, pulling her into a tight embrace. Inside, Claire now surrounded by family, laughing at something her aunt said. Eating dinner. Being normal. Human. Not a crusader. Not a hero. Just a daughter. Just a person. Justice doesn't heal all wounds. Truth doesn't erase pain. But they give us something to build on. And sometimes that's enough. Claire's old desk at the Herald. Now empty. Lit only by moonlight through the window. On it, someone had placed a single white rose. No card. No name. Just a gesture of respect, of remembrance. This is Claire Rivers' story. A story about truth, about justice, about the price we pay for doing what's right. But it's also a story about hope, about the belief that one person can make a difference, that corruption can be exposed, that the powerful can fall. It's a story about endings and beginnings. For every journalist who refused to stay silent. For every whistleblower who risked everything. For every truth seeker who kept going. When everyone else stopped, this story is dedicated to you. If this story moved you, challenged you, or made you think differently about truth and justice, we need you to do 3 things. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss another deep dive into stories that matter. Like this video if you believe journalism still has the power to change the world. And comment below, tell us about a time you had to choose between what was easy and what was right. Your story matters too. This is Crime Nest Stories, where we explore the darkest corners of human nature and the brightest moments of human courage. Until next time, keep questioning, keep searching, keep demanding the truth.